Adventurous kids, explore with education and learning what a wild life is in the Everglades. I want to explore the Museum of Discovering Science. What plants do butterflies like? I want to know about Key West Adventurous Kids, learning and fun. Adventurous Kids!
Today I'm going to tell you about trials. A trial is a method of settling disputes verbally in a court of law. In most cases, the people on each side of the dispute uses a lawyer to represent their views, present evidence, and question witnesses. About half the trials held in the United States are jury trials. In the other trials, the defendant chooses to be tried by a judge or a panel of judges instead of a jury. There are two types of trials, civil trials and criminal trials. A civil trial is generally held to settle lawsuits or civil claims, non-criminal disputes, such as contracts, ownership of property, and payment for personal injury. In a civil trial, there is a plaintiff and a defendant. The plaintiff tries to prove that he or she has a reason why the defendant needs to give him or her money. In a criminal trial, the jury decides the legal guilt or innocence of a person accused of a crime. In a criminal trial, there is a prosecutor and a defendant. The prosecutor works for the government and tries to prove that the defendant committed a crime. This two-part system is called the adversarial system. Bail is money given to the court to guarantee that someone will go to their trial. If the person does not show up for their trial, the government gets to keep the money. If the arrested person cannot afford the full bail amount, they can use a bail bond. This is a system where part of the bail amount is paid to a company and they do the bill paperwork. Unlike placing the full bill to the court, the bill bond payment is not returned. A jury trial begins with the selection of jurors. A jury is a group of citizens who hear the testimony in legal disputes and determine what they believe is the truth. Then the prosecutor who argues the state's case against the defendant in a criminal trial and the defense attorney make their opening statements to the jury. In their opening statements, the lawyer for both sides declare what they intend to prove during the trial. Each lawyer presents evidence to support his or her side of the case. The evidence may include documents and/or objects, and it could include witnesses. The judge controls the courtroom. He or she decides who speaks when, and they decide what evidence and arguments can be used. In a change to the jury, the judge gives instructions concerning the laws that apply to the case. In a criminal trial, the prosecutor tries to prove the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the standard required by law. If the jurors do not feel the prosecutor has done so, they must acquit the defendant, that is, find him or her not guilty. If the jury finds the defendant guilty, the judge sets a date for sentencing. If the crime is serious, the defendant may go to prison. For smaller crimes, there is often a fine, money that must be paid in addition to having a criminal record. Depending on the jurisdiction and type of action, the legal standard to satisfy the burden of proof may include but is not limited to, beyond a reasonable doubt in criminal law, preponderance of the evidence in most civil cases, meaning the evidence shows that it is more likely than not that a fact is true. In other words, it is more than 50% likely that a fact is true. Trials are different in places where the laws are different. Different countries, cities, and states all have different laws that change how trials happen. Trials in some places are very short. In some places, however, important trials can take as long as a few years, while the two sides gather information and put together their arguments. By some estimates, only 2% to 3% of criminal cases go to trial because trials are expensive and time consuming. It's no secret that the overwhelming majority of criminal cases never reach trial. The prosecution may dismiss charges perhaps because of a lack of evidence. Thank you for watching this episode of Adventurous Kids.
What did you learn today?
Adventurous Kids.
Adventurous Kids.
What was the most interesting fact?
Adventurous Kids.
Adventurous Kids.
Adventurous Kids.